Welcome to Trentovision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trentovision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
All right. Hey, Kenny, how are you, man, back there? Joe disappeared, and Dr. Stein.
Hey, against Glenn Levitt, he's disappearing for the weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sure. Dr. Stein was a lot of fun there.
Interesting guy. Interesting man.
Very interesting gentleman.
He's tall, isn't he? He's like 6, yeah.
Well, for those who did not see the last segment, the general manager introduced us during a break to a friend of his who's a physician. We didn't know he had a radio show. We start talking during the break. Yeah, sit down, let's talk. We're talking about this stuff. And the guy's 6'9", 6 feet, 9 inches.
Yeah, walk past it. It's like walking past a basketball player.
Yeah, look up like this, big guy. For those of you who want to get into what we're doing, radio talk show hosting, you can do that. It takes a little bit of work, a little bit of experience. So I guess the hardest part of being a talk show host is to be able to go to bathroom, eat, drink.
Shove food down your 3 minutes.
Not have stuff on your lips or your teeth in 3 minutes, okay, between breaks. That's the hardest part. Or you do what we do. We can put fancy stuff up. Put something up, Mike. What do you got?
For what?
Watchdog Wire. Put up Watchdog Wire. See, we can do this because you guys listening to us can't see us. So now we have to hide from the people watching us. So we put up a little graphic. Is it up? Okay. I still see me. Now we take our clothes off. We take a shower. We brush our teeth. We can do everything. We can eat. And you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. But if Mike wanted to, he can take that down and expose Mark shoving food down his throat. That's one of the inside issues of the radio talk world. But over in Egypt, we're following the late breaking news of Mohammed Morsai's fun day at the presidential palace, where 4 of his key advisors just said, "Sorry, Mohammed, we're out of here. We know death when we hear it in Tahrir Square. Things aren't looking good." When his top advisors, he being Mohammed Morsai, who has a connection to where we're going in a couple of minutes, Southern California, when his top advisors cut out and go for the hills, it's tough. But I cannot imagine the Muslim Brotherhood at this point backing down from the Googleators, little 30-year-old Google people that think they're going to run a country. Well, Syria also is out of money. They can't feed all their people, so they're looking for money to fund their
and turning the chemical weapons.
Civil war. But what we did last hour, we were going to get in depth into the Muslim Political Action Committee or Council, Muslim Political Affairs Council. Yeah, we were going to get into that. They had a name change a while back. It's Muslim Public Affairs Council.
That's
it
right.
used to be Muslim Political Affairs Committee,
right.
But they had a name change there.
And then that's the thing. They always are changing their name. It's like they go through it like every 3 or 4 years. Oh, it's not CARE anymore. It's United Voices for America, and it's not Muslim. It's not the OIC
It's not
anymore.
the Florida Security Council. It's the United West.
It's not the OIC. It's the OIC cooperation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got to stay one step ahead of the other folks. We were going to go in depth into the MPAC, what it really is, and why it's bad, and who the leaders are. But we got off with. She's an operator. She knows what she's doing, and she comes on these shows, speaks very nicely, and we treat her nicely. And I think she's conflicted. I think there's when she's with tribe members, particularly in the Arabic side, the families and tribes. One of the reasons why the people that come to the United States of America to assimilate have a problem, even though they may want to, is because of the connection of their immediate and extended family says, no. You maintain. Wasn't that interesting, though, about her admitting that there's many Muslims who have 4 wives in America that give them different names? I've seen that.
Well, actually, that's just not in the United States. That's actually all over the world. In fact, that's one of their main methodologies of getting into this society is having multiple wives, getting on this social welfare system, and then the man, collects his percentage, and it's actually a money-making scam. It's a big, huge money-making scam, especially in Europe and in the United States. And Detroit. I mean, not Detroit, but Dearborn has a huge, huge problem with that. I mean, it's too easy, is what it is. It's very easy to do.
That may be something the United West can deal with. Did we lose him, or I hear?
Actually, audio. No, he's still on.
Is he there? Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. That may be something the United West can work on. Exposing the.
There's a huge amount a massive amount of welfare.
But right now, though, let's get to our special guest as we're in our last hour. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Trento, TrentoVision.tv on the radio side, WNN 1470. I'm here with J. Mark Campbell. We're missing CJ. Everybody say hello to CJ.
Hi, CJ.
CJ, Cheryl Joy, CJ for short, is a bit under the weather. But in the next day or so, we think we will have her back in here. You have to come back. We need the cookies. She bakes cookies for us every day. Though I am losing 1 pound a day on my new regime, which is good. And I calculate by August 10th of next year, I'll be 31 pounds. So, so I'll be able to fit into my clothes when I was in diapers, So I am committed. And another committed guy who started at a young age and has established himself as an individual with expertise in the area of national security, started an organization called World Threats. Go there, worldthreats.com. And now works as a fellow and as the national security analyst for the Clarion Fund and their website, radicalislam.org. He did some investigative work on this MPAC, Muslim Public Affairs Council, event taking place December 15th in Pasadena, California. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trento Vision, Ryan Morrow. He's a bachelor, ladies, all you young ladies out there. He's a bachelor.
What exit?
That's right.
What exit, Ryan?
98.
98.
Hey, I drove Mark and CJ crazy. They couldn't figure out what that meant.
I had to call him when the phone.
I got this frantic, panic phone call from Mark.
You got to tell me what 98 means.
You would have thought that we were having a drug deal. What's the sexy thing? Okay, bye.
That's all I wanted. Sorry, bye.
He's a little anal that way.
Too funny.
All right, let's dig into a very, very serious matter, and we're going to have you back because this is a developing story. There's a press conference tomorrow in opposition to what we're doing today and what you have done with your article. And as I understand it, you just had a little tete-a-tete, a little battle with the primary individual. Why don't you set the stage, tell everybody what's going on, and then we'll get into it.
Basically, I went to the Muslim Public Affairs Council website, which is a group that I've been following because they're like one of these groups like CARE and ISNA, the other Muslim Brotherhood founded organizations. They all work as one.
Right.
And I was following it, and I found out that they're for the first time in U.S. history.
Oh, wait, Ryan.
Inside of a church. Okay. And they're holding it inside the All Saints Episcopal Church in Pasadena, California. And I thought that was very important to write about, considering what MPAC is about. I don't mind interfaith engagement, but when you're dealing with a group whose leaders have, for example, called Hezbollah a legitimate resistance group, I felt that that's something people should know about. And so I wrote this article, and I originally didn't get a ton of response from it, but then next thing you know, the church was claiming that they had dozens of what they claim to be hate emails about people angry that MPAC is having their conference inside of their church. The pastor was talking about it during the Sunday sermon, and now the Muslim Public Affairs Council is having a press conference tomorrow morning to denounce what they said are right-wing extremists attacking them. And so I guess that means me, because I'm the only one that wrote about it. And so today I gave a bunch of interviews, and on one of the interviews, they had Salam al-Mariyati on, who is the president of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, and surprise, surprise, he said, "I just hate all Muslims."
Can you hear me, Ryan?
I can.
Okay. Salman al-Mariyati is the head of MPAC. We'll make it easy for everybody. And he said, "You hate all Muslims?"
Yeah.
All
He
right,
said I'm a hater, and the best part is, in the beginning, he goes, Brian's crazy for saying that we have any ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. We haven't even mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood. But then I quickly mentioned the fact that in their policy paper from 2010 called Building Bridges, they say that the Muslim Brotherhood is a conservative group that the U.S. should embrace in order to fight Al-Qaeda.
All right. Well, this is going to be good, ladies and gentlemen. Call your friends. Tell them to tune in. You can watch Ryan on TrentoVision.tv. He's Skyped in. We got a nice sound signal. He's in his bunker in New Jersey. Your bunker looks different, Ryan. What the heck did you do, man?
It's amazing what you could do when you realize that it looks crappy, this image you're sending over on TrentoVision, and you just take the webcam in your desk and you just move it 90 degrees. It's amazing.
That's a complete scene change now.
That's a novel thought.
I got a question.
It's one of those things I should have thought of a long time ago, but for whatever reason, the last time I was on your show, the light bulb went off.
Okay.
All right, but here's a but. I'm going to make your life difficult. You look like sort of a suit analyst now. Before you got a little James Bond stuff going on before, man.
Yeah, I know. I definitely did look cool before. I was on a radio show yesterday, and the host opened up the segment by playing a clip from the movie Taken, and he said that the main character was based off of me.
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. All right, well, let's dig into this. Let's set the stage.
Well, I want to ask a question, okay, about MPAC, okay? Now, MPAC, I noticed in the article you mentioned the name Mahdi Bray. Now,
wait, let me set the stage. You're getting into the details. Hang on. Mark gets excited. I know, it's good, but we got an audience that may not know anything about any of this stuff.
I'll back off.
All right, let's take a step back, and we're looking at the state of California. 34 million people out there. What is the jihad factor on the jihad meter, Ryan Morrow? And you deal with world threats. What about California threats for the jihad? How serious is the Muslim infiltration there for political Islam?
Well, it's very serious. Basically, the story of MPAC starts with the Hathout brothers. And these were two followers of the Muslim Brotherhood, according to their own statements, that came over from Egypt. One of them was actually arrested by the Egyptian regime because the Muslim Brotherhood was banned there. And after he gets released, they say, where should we go? Oh, let's go to the U.S. They have freedom there that we can take advantage of.
Right.
And one of the Hathout brothers actually says that their objective in coming here was establishing what they call the Islamic movement in the U.S. Now, that's the term that the Muslim Brotherhood uses to describe itself and the Islamist ideology. And so they come over to the U.S.
All right, hold it.
Stop.
Ryan. Center of Southern California. And then it's from that mosque
it's going through the computer?
that MPAC is born. MPAC begins as a branch of the mosque, and then it becomes independent, but it's all the same personnel, and the Hathout brothers, specifically Mar Hathout, then leads MPAC.
Okay, I have a real quick...
Hang on.
Well, I'm going back all the way to square one here with... when you say he was close to the Muslim Brotherhood, he was actually taught by Hassan al-Banna himself, where they said that my teacher was a student at the time. His name was Hassan al-Banna. These are the Hassan Hathout's words. I believe he is a unique type of person. Centuries might roll over before a similar personality is produced. I think the person who is most influential in my life was that teacher, referring to Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, who believes Allah's objective, jihad is way, and dying in the name of Allah is our highest of goals. Right.
All right. I'm trying to test. Ryan, we have a couple of microphones. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Right.
I hear you great.
Okay. You used a term, and we're going to have to define these terms as we walk through this stuff. You said Islamist. What do you mean by Islamist versus Islam?
Well, Islam, when you talk about Islam, you're talking about a religion entirely, as it's practiced by the Muslim American community entirely. Islamist is basically the term that even the Brotherhood uses to describe themselves sometimes, and that's when there's no separation of mosque and state. They believe in Sharia law, Sharia governance, and that's how they practice their version of Islam.
Okay, because we had a little go around with a Muslim woman in the last hour, and you're saying, and Mark just established the direct connection between the founders of MPAC and the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, and when they came over, they had a particular plan. They wanted to implement an Islamist ideology in America. Correct?
That's correct, and if I may just throw a quote, Hassan Hathout, who is, the brother of Maher Hathout, who's still a senior official in MPAC, Hassan, who passed away in 2009, he gave a speech explaining why they came here and what he meant by the Islamic movement in the U.S.
Oh, good.
And listen to this quote. It's amazing. He said, "If you look objectively, you will see that this current civilization harbors in its body the seeds of its own destruction." That is language almost identical to the language we see in the American Muslim Brotherhood's own documents talking about civilizational jihad.
What year was that? What year did they come here?
Let me see here. Maher Hathout got released in 1968, so within the next 3 or 4 years, they came over to the U.S. So they came over a long time ago, and then in the mid-1990s, Hassan Hathout was explaining exactly what they were doing, and it was civilizational jihad.
And they founded the Islamic Center of Southern California, correct?
Correct.
Now, out of the Islamic Center of Southern California,
I've been there.
I've been there.
Yep.
We actually filmed, Chief Michael Downing
Yeah, yep.
at that Islamic Center of Southern California. We're also, now, did Morsi attend the Islamic Center of Southern California also? Because it's right in
I'm
that
not sure. I
neighborhood.
know he studied in California, and that's how he was recruited.
Yeah,
He had to. I mean, we need to check that out.
Yeah, because that's the
He
hub.
went to USC.
If you look at a wheel of a spoke, and the center where the axle goes through, everything seems to stem right out of that little Islamic Center, Southern California.
See how far it is from USC.
I know it's right around the corner. It's downtown. I mean, it's within a
Couple miles.
yeah, it's really close by. But I know that the Islamic Center of Southern California is the hub of everything, because out of that, Impact was formed. Correct, Ryan? I mean,
That's correct.
and all this interfaith outreach, all this interfaith dialogue nonsense, all is emanating out of this center. And that's where Chief Downing, who is the chief counterterrorism expert for the LA County or LAPD, is actually working. So it's all kind of emanating out of that one little hub. And now it's actually going out to the to the churches around there too. So
All right, so in terms of a timeline for the audience, the viewers, the listeners, we're teaching a lesson today in the Muslim Brotherhood's process for civilization jihad, and how in a couple of days you're going to see, because we're going to get some video cameras there, you're going to see civilization jihad taking by implementing a Muslim Brotherhood-run interfaith event using a useful idiot Christian minister. So here's where we're going. This is really fascinating stuff. So in the early 70s, these two Egyptian brothers, one of whom was in jail for his beliefs, they decide on the fruitful nature of American open civilization, all of that, to come and plant their flag. They went to New York, though. Didn't they go to New York first, I think?
Yeah, they first came to Buffalo, and then they went to California.
All right, so they want a little warmer climate. It wasn't quite Egyptian enough up in Buffalo, New York.
it's already
How the heck
infiltrated.
are they?
They're looking for fertile ground.
Fertile ground. So they go to Southern California. All right, that makes sense. It's the early 70s. Now what happens next?
Well, then that's when they found the mosque, the Islamic Center of Southern California. And by the way, something I should mention is that Maher Hathout, the senior advisor for MPAC, from which he came from this mosque, He's still a spokesman for this mosque. So the two are interconnected. And I went to their website for this mosque, and one of the things I found is that they recommend a book by Sheikh Karadawi, who is the senior Muslim Brotherhood cleric, who is known because he's very honest. I mean, he says, we support suicide bombings, we support Sharia replacing the Western form of democracy. You need to engage in a doctrine of what he calls gradualism, which is incremental, realistic change where you have short-term objectives. And so even today, this mosque is promoting the works of a Brotherhood cleric.
Okay. So the mosque, the Islamic Center of Southern California. Mike, I'm sending you Hatut and Al Moriarty's pictures. They're on their way. You can put them up while Ryan's talking about these guys. They'll be there in a minute. All right. Now we're coming into the Mosque Islamic Center of, and it's interesting for the viewers and listeners. A mosque is a freestanding building, but they're usually connected, not all the times, but usually to an Islamic center, an Islamic center of whatever the area happens to be. This is the Islamic Center of Southern California, so it's much more than a mosque. It's a little oasis of Islam in the middle. It becomes.
And it's a little dumpy building too.
The one there, yeah, it's not very impressive.
No,
but in terms of the structural purpose of Islamizing a country, this is viewed as the Islamic centers are viewed as a base of operations from which to attack the host nation. And that's what this is there.
Forward military operating bases.
Yeah, these are military operating bases. Okay, now take us through the 80s, and when did MPAC really get going, and who is MPAC?
Well, MPAC began as, like you said before I came on, it was under a different name, but very similar name, still the same acronym, at the mosque, I believe in 1986, and then in 1988, I think it was 1988, I forget the exact year, but it broke off and became independent. By independent,
Al-Banna's writings or beliefs or motto or anything like that?
I did, and they said that Mar Hatut apparently was criticizing Mohammed Morsi in Egypt in a radio interview recently for some of the things that he had done. And I said, well, look, if you want to promote a positive image of the Muslim American community and of your religion, one of the best things you could do right now is to hold a protest against Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Muslim Brotherhood, and show everyone that they do not speak for you and you do not have any sympathy with them. And then he just mocked me, was like, oh, stop acting like you're our PR agent. But that should have been an easy answer. I mean,
yeah,
if
exactly.
there was a Christian extremist group taking over countries overseas, and I led a Christian group, you better believe I'd be out there protesting in the streets and combating them theologically and ideologically in every way I could.
Yeah, if it's a KKK and they're claiming to be a Christian group, I'll be, hey, listen, they claim they're Christian. They're no Christians like I am. And I don't know what they're claiming. It's exactly what you would do. You're exactly right.
Right, and I said in the beginning of my interview, and the host I could tell was kind of offended. I said, I do not believe that MPAC is an appropriate interfaith partner, just like I don't believe that the Westboro Baptist Church, a Christian extremist group, is an appropriate interfaith partner. This isn't about attacking a group of people.
That's good. Good one.
This is about saying that there are certain individuals and certain groups that should not be given a platform, especially inside of a church. And if those leaders are calling Hezbollah a legitimate resistance group, or immediately after 9/11 they're saying, oh, we think Israel was behind it, then there are plenty of other Muslims that you can go to for that purpose. You don't have to put MPAC front and center.
All right, hang on one second, Ryan. It's the bottom of the hour, and we have a little business to take care of here to keep the wheels on this circus. Right now, I want to tell you that it's 75 degrees in our studio. It's always 75 degrees in here. What is it outside?
74.
74 degrees. The weather's dropping out there. And Mike, how's the traffic?
What's the traffic, Mike?
Traffic is actually not a car going by.
No cars on the road.
No cars on the
Okay,
road.
there you
Okay,
go.
everybody's left. Okay.
You can land the Goodyear blimp on.
Well, it's actually the Goodyear blimp is flying. I used to fly. I've flown the blimp.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
flown the
a
blimp.
story for another show. The Goodyear blimp
Over New York City. Yeah.
But right now, we want to tell you about Peter Feynman, our attorney, good Palm Beach attorney, great guy, in fact, author, intellect, academic, regular guy, great speaker, speaks all over the United States, speaks all over South Florida. He was elected unanimously by representatives from each of the 67 counties in Florida to be the national committee man for the Republican Party, representing Florida in Washington. Peter, you got a lot of work cut out for you, straighten out that Republican Party, but if you need a good attorney, you need a good consigliere, a good mouthpiece, somebody to help you in your business, start a business, keep a business going, dissolve a business. If you're in trouble with your finances, your home, if you want to sue somebody, we used him for that. We had a little problem with somebody that didn't like some of the stuff we were doing, and we had to sue them, and, that's part of what America is about. Peter was the guy. He was our litigator. So Peter Feynman, Feynman Law, F-E-A-M, F-E-A-M, F-E-A-M-A-N, Feynman, it looks like Feynman, but with an A, FeynmanLaw.com. Go see Peter. And be sure to look at BizPackReview.com, BizPackReview. It's a local blog that is growing by leaps and bounds. Political information, conservative information, led by Jack Funari. And they have writers and bloggers and videographers all over. Great resource for information on all things conservative, and then the opposing view on the reasons why the liberal mindset simply is devoid of gray matter in many, many respects, and simply wants to suck all the money out of the public treasury. That's bad stuff.
And also teapartycommunity.com, teapartycommunity.com. A great Facebook for the Tea Party. It's set up just like Facebook to interact and share, and great people running the site. Teapartycommunity.com. Teapartycommunity.com.
You got to join up, right? You got to sign up.
Yeah, it's like Facebook.
All right, just like Facebook. Go there.
Look and feel is just like Facebook.
And,
in fact, you sign up with your Facebook account if you want to.
Oh, cool. All right. 34 minutes past 5 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 2 o'clock, 2:34 on the West Coast, and in Europe and Israel. It's a little later at night, darker over there. And in Tahrir Square, it ain't a lot of fun right now. The Muslims going wild in Tahrir Square. But it is critically important for our viewers and listeners who follow us to understand that what is taking place in Tahrir Square has the same ideological foundation and the same operational goal of implementing the Sharia, Islamic law, with the intent of establishing a caliphate by dictate from Allah through the Prophet Muhammad's example. This is one big, horrendous nightmare play being orchestrated on a global scale. We're talking right now with national security analyst Ryan Morrow, Skyping, so you can see him on TrentoVision.tv or listen on WNN 1470. Skyping out of his new Bat Cave in New Jersey. And the issue at hand is an interfaith. Don't be an idiot, folks. We have Christian ministers that are being implemented as useful idiots with the Muslim Brotherhood. If you're a Christian or a Christian minister listening, don't be a useful idiot and believe that when a Muslim brother says, let's have, oh, I'm not a Muslim brother. When a Muslim leader of any organization in America tells you, I'm not a Muslim brother, they're lying in your face, okay?
Here's a good test for that, Tom.
What?
If you were one of those idiot ministers, go over to the mosque and say, listen, I would like to, preach, about Jesus and who he is and how great Christianity is, and please come on over to Christianity. Try that in a mosque. They'll shut you down in a heartbeat. It's a one-way ticket, one-way street. Check valve, just their way, nothing back.
Because they want the world to view them as the underprivileged class, Muslims discriminated against. They're the new blacks in America or Asians or whatever. And the Christian world has always embraced the underdog and helped lift them into the proper level of American society. That's how they're presenting their Islamic jihad known as Dawah, D-A apostrophe W-A, Dawah. It's Muslim evangelism. Ryan is detailing the history of the Muslim Brotherhood and two adherents to the Brotherhood out of Egypt in 1928. In fact, these gentlemen were mentored by the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, Hassan al-Banna, and he's showing how they traveled from Egypt after they got in trouble with the Egyptian government for their views in the 60s. They traveled to Buffalo, New York, they being the Hathout brothers. They traveled to New York, Buffalo. A little too cold up there for my Muslim skin. I'm going to Southern California, where it's riper pickings with the nitwit Southern Californians. So they went there in the...
they actually called it fertile ground. They called it fertile ground in their speeches.
They go out there to Southern California in the 70s. They form a forward operating base for Islam called the Islamic Center of Southern California. Go to the unitedwest.org website. Go through our videos. You'll see us in that mosque interviewing people who were holding an interfaith. Actually, it was a town hall meeting for law enforcement. So Ryan is showing us. I'm getting everybody quickly back up to speed here. Ryan is showing us that these Hathout brothers went there, formed this Islamic Center. Out of that grew MPAC, Muslim Public Affairs Council, which is how would you classify MPAC? How do they classify it in one or two sentences, Ryan Morrow?
They admit that they're a political group, so I guess they would just say it's about empowering Muslim Americans.
All right, sort of a human rights, human relations, political organization to empower Muslim Americans. And why are they selecting, and who is this minister that they selected to hold their conference in December 15th of this year in Pasadena at, what's the name of the church?
All Saints Episcopal.
The Episcopals.
All Saints. Right.
The Episcopal faith has gone down the tubes tremendously over the past 50 years. There's an evangelical element of Episcopals, but most have abandoned belief in God, opened their doors up for every aberration there is. It's very, very sad what's happened to the Episcopal Church. I don't know where this one stands, but it ain't doing too good bringing the Brotherhood in. Do you know anything about this particular minister?
Not about the minister, but I do know that the church has held a joint Middle East ministry with the Islamic Center of Southern California, which we've been talking about is the origin for MPAC. So the relationship appears to have begun there.
Okay, I did a little research on him. He's a big liberation theology guy, big, gay rights guy. So really he's abandoned much of the traditional evangelical Christian positions, gone over to the left. And what about this new alliance, Ryan, of the left in America joining with Muslims? What is that about, and does that make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense. I think it's because they view these groups as being left-leaning, even though they originally embraced the Republican Party in the late 1990s, which is another story. So they shift between the parties, but then they're viewed as a Democratic constituency, and so you had left-wing organizations teaming up with them. Now, on the issue of interfaith, basically what MPAC and these other brotherhood groups have done is they've made interfaith partnerships with all sorts of Jewish and Christian groups, and they all work in unison. So, for example, when Representative Bachmann and the other 4 members of Congress wrote those letters about the Muslim Brotherhood influence in the U.S. government, MPAC and ISNA and CARE and all of them didn't just respond on their own. They had interfaith partners that wrote letters on their behalf and defended them. So they've got an interfaith bloc that really helps them advance their agenda and fight their critics.
Okay, Mark, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a little bit more. Some of the things about MPAC and what they've in their July 1999 issue, they featured Ayatollah Khomeini and Osama bin Laden on its cover, with the headline, "The Spirit of Jihad." And inside, bin Laden was identified as a freedom fighter and a philanthropist. And also, I was asking you earlier in the show about Mahdi Bray. You mentioned him in your article. And can you tell the audience how Mahdi Bray actually relates to MPAC?
Sure, he used to be the political director of MPAC, and what's important about him is that he was a loudmouth. You know, he didn't do the whole stealth thing very well.
No, he didn't.
He was quite honest about the things that he believed. And so, for example, in 2000, this guy, Abdurrahman Alamoudi, who is now in jail on terrorism-related charges, was involved in the public rally. He goes on stage and he says, I'm with Hamas and Hezbollah, and the crowd cheers. Also on stage with this terrorist was Mahdi Bray, also nodding his head and agreeing, yes, we're with Hezbollah and Hamas.
Yeah, we're actually rolling the video.
The founder of Hamas was killed by the Israelis because he supports terrorism. He said that the killing of the Hamas founder was state-sponsored terrorism. So that's the viewpoint of Mahdi Bray and a lot of the people like him, other Islamists, is that Hamas isn't a terrorist group, but when Israel attacks them for engaging in terrorism, then Israel is the terrorist group. It's a completely different way of looking at the situation using the terms than we do in the West, and that's why we fall for a lot of what they do, is because we don't recognize that their use of the terms very often means something different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're actually rolling some video. We actually...
Do you want me to do the audio? Or
No audio, just the video there. Yeah, we actually had a run-in with Mahdi Bray, and he's a character, man. We had a whole interview with him. We went into the mosque and caught him red-handed doing a fundraiser for Hamas inside this mosque. And
I'm sure it wasn't Hamas directly, though, right? It was probably through a front organization.
Well, George Galloway, give me a break. Come on.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's handing money to George Galloway. They're doing a fundraiser for George Galloway, and Galloway's physically handing bags full of cash to Hamas. I mean, you can't get... I mean, it's no bones about it. I mean, this is directly a Hamas fundraiser, right? And so we're in Orlando, and we catch him on video, and then we start doing. We didn't know anything about Mahdi Bray before that, and we do the investigation on him. We find out he's a 3-time felon, convicted felon of mail fraud,
3-time loser,
3-time loser, goes into prison, finds Islam, that comes out and becomes, oh my God, he becomes a spokesperson for MPAC, and and the guy is just a complete lion.
He's a jihadi. He's
a jihadi lion, but he's got that.
He actually went to Egypt in 2008 and expressed his solidarity with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, along with these other brother.
All right, now he was the political director for the group that's our target group today, MPAC, correct?
That's correct.
He's no longer with them. Did you have a chance to ask Al Moriarty, who's the president now, about the relationship with Mahdi Bray by any chance?
Well, Mahdi also had a stroke, too. Mahdi, I think, had a stroke. Did he not, Brian? Recently, he had
Mahdi Bray?
he's out of commission. I haven't seen him in a while.
But, I mean, is Moriarty distancing, Al Moriarty, is he distancing himself from Mahdi Bray, saying, oh, no, we're reformed now? Or is he saying, yeah, that's, well, we don't know. You didn't talk to him.
I'm not sure. I don't think he's commented on the matter at all.
Okay, that'd be a good issue. You know, what are your view on Mahdi's tenure here? All right, 888-565-1470. If you'd like to speak with Ryan Morrow, Skyping in from his Batcave in New Jersey, and it's lit up. It looks pretty nice, actually. Ryan is single for you ladies out there. You can contact Tom at TrentoVision.tv. I'll forward your. We'll see if we can get you a nice counter jihad heiress to some fortune, and then we have a good charitable organization you could help, Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that works. 888-565-1470. 70. You can call in and talk to Ryan or Mark or myself. Let's talk about this interfaith idea. What is going through the mind? Take us into the mind of Al Moriarty, the president of MPAC right now. And when they go, let's get into a church. Why do they want to get into a church? How does that benefit them?
There's a few different reasons. For the faith as a whole, you have to engage in dawah. You have to preach the faith, try and win converts, present it to people. And so they're trying to do that, of course. Then politically, for the organization itself, it gives them legitimacy. It makes people think that they're tolerant and moderate. It helps them win a political ally that they can deploy against people like us if we criticize MPAC. So there's all sorts of reasons. And in my debate with Mariotti, he said, the goal of this interfaith conference is we're not trying to convert people to Islam. There's plenty of Muslims. That has to be a lie. Because even if you're a moderate Muslim, you still want to spread your faith because you believe it's the best viewpoint.
Right.
Not only are you religiously commanded to spread it, but if this is the religion you've taken into your life, then you're going to want other people to share in its glory.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it was just amazing to me that you would have a devout Muslim on a public radio show say, "Oh, I don't want people to join Islam." That's
it's
bizarre.
insane. It's either complete ignorance, it's a lie, or the guy's just stupid. One of the two. I mean, because you have to be that direction. If you believe in something, you want someone to come join your side.
Well, let me give you a little theological twist here, in terms of the strategic, or actually the tactical use of this particular church. I was doing a little more reading on them, and they're such a leftist organization that they've essentially abandoned the fundamental principles of Christianity. When you are a sound evangelical Christian and you know why you believe what you believe, extremely difficult to have anybody lead you astray, because you know why, you've thought it through, you've investigated all of this, and you know the other side. When you've abandoned the fundamental principles and you're floating around in some kind of leftist soup of liberation theology and good works and all of that, your deep need for a spiritual connection is not there because your church has abandoned it. One of the great philosophers, Augustine, said that there is a God-shaped void in every person. And when a liberal church takes the real God out and fills it with this phony baloney liberation theology and good social works, there's still a God-shaped void. If somebody can come along and make sense out of a consistent life with worship with God, with good family structure, with rules and regulations, which people envision a religion to be, vis-a-vis Islam, the side door is open for recruiting formerly serious Christians who were led astray and now are drifting around. That's one of the reasons why they picked this particular church, apart from the fact that the minister is a complete useful idiot for sure. Very interesting. Now, what can people do? What do you suggest from an activist? Why should anybody care? Why can't we leave these people alone, let them go play in a church, do whatever they want? Why are we doing radio shows? Why are we making a lot of noise about all this stuff?
Well, because they influence churches, they influence the media, and they influence the government. When the FBI wiretapped a secret Muslim Brotherhood meeting in Philadelphia, and they were listening on their plans, yes, of course, over the long term, do they want a global Islamic State? Yeah. But they recognize that that's not going to happen, taking over the U.S. anytime soon. So what did one of the speakers at this secret Brotherhood conference say? He said, our goal at this stage has to be to influence policy towards the Islamists. So they're essentially a lobby. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to promote the Muslim Brotherhood, try and promote, to some degree, Hamas and the other Islamist groups, and at least whitewash them and go after their critics. And that's an influence I don't think that we should want in government. It's not a government that we should want in our churches or in our media. And the way you can get involved in is, besides writing letters to the church, if you're not going to change their mind, is watch what's happening in your own community. See if there's any churches getting involved in Muslim organizations, and then find out what type of Muslim organizations they are. see who your politicians are meeting with. There is a tremendous amount of things that happen on the local level, and this is a great case of what can happen when you pay attention to what happens on the local level. This is about Pasadena, California, but it became part of a much larger issue with national repercussions.
All right, there's two other elements that are very important from an activist point, and then, Mark, you can pick it up.
Okay.
One of them is, this is a very important lesson for everybody listening and watching Trento Vision at 50 minutes past the hour on WNN 1470. Mark this down. Whenever you see a Muslim Brotherhood entity or organization moving in any direction, they have two objectives. Number one is a cultural jihad objective, which is what we're talking about here. They want to change the culture. The way you do that is you infiltrate yourself, institute yourself, initiate yourself into the legitimate fabric of an existing entity, whether it's a academic area or a business area or legal area, medical area. In this case, it's a religious area. The Episcopal Church. How much more traditional and Americana can you get? So you get in that, and by mere entrance and acceptance, you now become legitimized. That helps the cultural jihad. But there's always a second objective for any Muslim Brotherhood movement in the United States of America. It's the destruction of Israel. And to the extent that they can get into this Episcopal church in Southern California, I guarantee you this church will turn against Israel in the weeks and months and years ahead, when in fact Israel's going to need American Christians to stand for her. There's no way in the world with these folks in this church that church will take a stand for Israel. These guys know it, and they're moving and extending themselves in Southern California. Mark, we got about a minute, and then we got to let Ryan go here.
Okay. Yeah. One thing to compliment what you're saying, one thing to highlight what Ryan's saying is, when they go into these churches and they do the influence operations, what their end objective is to get that church to speak on the Muslims' behalf, so they can put 1 degree of separation between the critics. So anytime a critic comes up and says anything about Islam, they point them to that Episcopal Church. So now you have the Episcopal Church defending Islam. That's Tom's point as far as the infiltration. Ryan is, in the community level, local level, is they're going into the human rights councils. They're going into the city councils and trying to get involved, but especially on the human rights issues. They'll try to get themselves appointed to the presidents of the human rights councils, yep, members of the human rights councils, these non-binding but kind of paid positions that have some clout of authority and integrity, and also will try to become the governor's faith-based advisors and faith-based this. He's the advisor. He's my Islamic faith-based advisor for whatever county seat or whatever it is. That's the pattern. That's the methodology they follow.
And if you want to get in touch with J. Edwin Bacon Jr., what a name, J. Edwin Bacon Jr., he's the rector, the pastor at All Saints Church since 1995. During his tenure, All Saints has continued its reputation for energetic workshop, a radically inclusive spirit, and a progressive peace and justice agenda. So far left, Moriarty must be just laughing his way all the way to the jihad. Yep. Bacon's number is 626-583-2711. 626-583-2711. Give him a call. We're gonna follow this thing through. Because this is a cultural battle, ladies and gentlemen. It's a cultural battle taking place in the United States of America. We have a team, a United West team, on the ground. I'm getting emails that the guys are going to be going to this event. We're going to follow this through. We're going to try to bust it up culturally, doing what we do. Why would we want to bust up a religious thing? Because it's detrimental to the United States of America. Would you butt up a spy ring?
Okay? Yes, you would bust up a spy ring.
Exactly. It's a spy ring.
It's a spy ring. It's what they're trying to do.
We'll use all means and methods legal to interfere with this and to wake people up or have people leave the church. That's how this stuff works. So, Ryan, I'll give you the last word here. We got about a minute.
Sure. I would just encourage people to go to the Clarion Fund's website, radicalislam.org, sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter so that you can always know what's going on in your community and get involved in the exciting work that we're doing.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Ryan Morrow.
Great work, Ryan.
Yeah,
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Doing a great job.
You're a superstar, man.
We will have you back. And I think that's it, Mark, for today. We've traveled a lot of ground. Mike, you got anything?
No, I'm
The
all
chicken
set.
saying
good?
bye.
Chicken saying bye. Say goodbye, Chicken. Our mascot that's been all over the world with us, that crazy-looking chicken. But we're going to stay on this case, folks, because very serious stuff. Mark's point was excellent. Would you break up a spy ring? Yeah. Well, this is in front of your face spying. Muslim Brotherhood ain't happening when we're around. Right. Take it easy. Tom Trento, the rest of the team. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning into Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hi, I'm Duke Liberatore.
And I'm Dr. Jan McBaron.
We're a husband and wife team.
And together we host the #1 health talk show in the nation,
Duke and the Doctor.
You can hear our show weekday mornings at 10 here on WWNN AM 1470 Health and Wealth Radio.
We'll discuss up-to-date health news, give away gifts, share a laugh or two, and answer health questions from our callers.
So if you are ready to start feeling happy, healthy, and terrific, then tune in to Duke and the Doctor.
Weekday mornings at 10 on WWNN AM 1470.
Imagine me, a dog, moving in with a human. I didn't know how it would work. Turns out,